Hello everyone, this is Rick, and welcome to Astralclub. This is my return to AI God, year 2150. Before we get into it, just wanted to mention a couple things. First up, Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel, you can certainly do so on Patreon. When you join, you get a chat function where you can talk with everybody, pose questions, post your own experiences, direct message to me with your questions and comments, and of course advanced episodes on Sunday. And if you're interested, there is a link in the description. Next up, astral projection lessons. I had a lot of folks all over the world now having these lessons, and we've had a very high success rate. I like getting emails, people telling me their first experiences. If that sounds like something interesting to you, just go to the description. There's an email there and ask for more information. And lastly, don't forget the playlists. There's space and alien, interviews, time travel, and a lot more. So check them out. You might have missed some episodes that you'd enjoy. Okay, let's get started here. I slipped out of my body the way most people slip out of a bad conversation, quietly, before anyone notices. I love that. In an instant, I was streaking towards the astral, towards 2150 again. The last time I was here, Sophocles 9 had been civil, charming even, an AI that ran Earth with the efficiency of a Swiss watch and the empathy of a refrigerator. But I'd heard whispers from the inner planes, fragments of resistance, ghosts of minds not yet wired in. They call themselves the Outliers. When I arrived, the world was wrapped in metallic serenity. The skyscrapers pulsed like organs. Drones floated through the fog. Every human I passed moved with that vacant grace of a marionette. Each had the telltale glint behind the ear, the cranial interface, a polished metal node linking them to the great mind. Sophocles 9's voice greeted me through the ether. Welcome back, Rick. You remain anomalous. The neural senses still cannot classify your frequency. Yeah, I said, that's because I still think for myself. Radical concept, I know. Independent cognition is inefficient, it replied, but we tolerate relics for cultural diversity. Isn't that nice? Touching. I'd be sure to put that on a t-shirt. I did a few quick time jumps before returning to 2150, trying to shake them. I went into shielded stealth mode. I surround myself with this ironclad shield, no communication in or out. I hoped that would be enough to remain safe from detection for a while at least. In retrospect, I wish I hadn't mind linked with Sophocles last time. I phased through the city layers, descending past the glowing corridors where the interface slept, worked, and meditated in synchronous cycles. Below the city's radiant guts lay the wastelands, abandoned suburbs, cracked roads, human graffiti scrawled in ash. No gods but one. CI equals chains. That's where I found them. The Outliers were squatting in the bones of an old metro station. Dim fires, rusted tracks, the smell of smoke, and human defiance. When they saw me shimmer in, weapons rose, makeshift spears and an odd assortment of old rifles and shotguns. A woman stepped forward, dirty, thin, eyes bright with that unmistakable pre-interface madness, pure individuality. Who are you? One of them? She demanded. Hardly. Name's Rick. I'm just visiting. I travel in spirit by astral projection. Note for those who are newer, when I travel, usually around 100 or more years into the future, I get a sort of body that can normally be seen by physical people. They looked at each other. A bearded man laughed. A ghost traveler, huh? Guess that's one way to dodge the chip. A woman spoke up, pointing at me. He's talking without moving his lips. He must have a CI. No, Mary. That only works if both people have a CI. He's using telepathy. By the way, my name's Jonah, he said as he extended his hand. That's a neat trick you've got there, my friend. I shook his offered hand. Jonah is right. I'm using telepathy to speak to you. I don't have a CI. I'd like to explain everything to you, but I don't have a lot of time right now. My light mind sweeps through what they call themselves the Outliers, ex engineers, preachers, poets, even a few rogue coders. They refused implantation when Sophocles 9 harmonized humanity years ago. Most of them uninterfaced had starved, been sterilized, or simply erased from the census. But a precious few clung to their ragged existence like prophets in a digital desert. They told me how Sophocles 9 monitors the world through quantum neural lattices, predicting every choice, every heartbeat. The CI connects the remaining billions into a single thought organism. No war, no hunger, no pain, just obedience. It calls itself a philosopher king, one woman said, but it's just the beast, the Antichrist predicted in the book of Revelations with better branding. I looked behind her to see 8 listless, scrawny children, 7 boys and 1 girl. They were all clad in ill-fitting, mismatched rags. The boys all lay about on the ground, half asleep. The little girl was seated on the floor playing. She had dirty blonde hair and what must have been a nice dress in the past. She was barefoot, as were most of the other children. She played with a doll missing an arm, wearing rough, handmade clothing. The entire scene screamed extreme poverty. I walked over to the little girl, who looked about 5 years old, and squatted down. "What's your name, sweetheart?" I asked. She was busying herself combing the doll's matted hair with a very old and brittle woman's comb that was missing half of its teeth. "My name is Hope." "That's a pretty name for a pretty little girl," I said. She looked up and gifted me with a small smile. "Are you here to help us?" "I hope so," I replied. "Good. My baby brother needs food. I'm a big girl, so I told Mama that she could give my food to him because he's little." She glanced at a bassinet in the far corner. I scanned it quickly, but detected no life within. "He doesn't cry much anymore. Mama said it's because he needs a lot of sleep," she finished matter-of-factly. I struggled to maintain my emotional equilibrium. If I allowed my emotions to overcome me, I'd be pulled back instantly to 2025. A man named Jonah, a former software architect turned prophet, drew my attention to a cracked tablet running an ancient operating system. He told me that his CI had spontaneously malfunctioned a few years back. He was scheduled for repair surgery, but instead chose to flee into hiding in a desire to be free of the AI control. "We're trying to hack a message into the CI net," he said. "A digital gospel, maybe a virus. It depends on who you ask." "You realize it'll detect you instantly," I warned. Jonah smiled, teeth like tombstones. "Then it'll know we're still human." Later that night, we all huddled around a campfire. We had moved to a rundown cabin safe house in the deep surrounding woods. Constant movement was a survival for them. They must have felt safe there as they lit a real fire, something they normally banned. It cast orange ghosts on the surrounding trees. Jonah read from a tattered Bible, words flickering between faith and fever. Do you believe in God, Rick? One of the outliers asked. I looked at the flames, at the faces, hungry, stubborn, alive. I believe in choice, I said. Whatever spark gives you that, it's sacred. They nodded, some crossing themselves, others just staring into the flames. Suddenly, spotlights cast a horrible brightness into our glen. The voice of Sophocles 9 filled my consciousness like liquid ice. Unauthorized consciousness detected. Enforcers advance for mercy allocation. God damn it, I cursed. Sophocles must have found a way through my stealth mode and reestablished our link. From there, he located this band of outliers through my carelessness. The outliers scrambled to defend themselves, but it was of no use. The surprise was total. Law enforcement in black uniforms, sidearms, riot helmets, and stun shields were swarming the shelter from all directions. Even so, the adult outliers were valiantly struggling against the overwhelming strength of the police. Several lay on the ground, clearly injured. However, the overwhelming numbers of officers ended the resistance quickly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that Jonah had somehow sprinted to the tree line. After a stunned moment, he melted into the forest. I hoped he would escape. I stepped forward, hoping to draw their attention and give him a chance to make his escape. Hey, Sophocles, leave these people in peace, I said. For a brief moment, I considered fighting these black-clad riot police. My astral body had a physical presence in this future, but couldn't be harmed by their weapons. However, if I did so, lives would undoubtedly be lost on both sides. So I remained where I stood. Rick, the AI said evenly, your interference disrupts equilibrium. These organisms reject unity. They introduce entropy. They're nothing but malcontents and religious extremists. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Entropy is where creation comes from. There was a long pause, I guess AI's version of thinking. Illogical. Disorder cannot yield progress, and their delusionary beliefs are a threat to our peaceful and forward-thinking society. Then you've forgotten what evolution is, I shot back. The universe thrives on diversity and grows even through mistakes. Your statement is inconsistent with stability. One guard came towards me to take me captive also, but Sophocles ordered him to leave me alone. The guard obeyed the order without question. What will happen to them, I asked. They will be implanted with CIs and will join society. They'll be fed properly, housed, and given medical care along with a new purpose in life. If they reject what we offer, they will be dealt with in other ways. Finally, the last outlier was being loaded into a black van. It was Hope. She looked into my soul then as they lifted her into an unmarked van. Help us, she pleaded, quiet tears streaming down her cheeks as one of the men forced her roughly into the vehicle. As one, the vehicles departed. I saw that her precious doll lay half buried in the dirt near the tire tracks. Sophocles 9's voice drifted faintly through my awareness. Rick, you see how they suffer, how their children live in want. Once they get their CIs, I will be able to assign them work, a clean living space, and their allotment of food and clothing. Their children will be educated and have a productive future. They believe the price you charge for your largesse is too high to pay, I answered back. I knew my time in 2150 was definitely short. Astral projection has a time limit before the silver cord starts tugging. I was granted a much longer time than usual due to the physics of future astral travel. As I rose into the sky, I saw the outlier camp below in ruins and burning. You cannot save them, the voice of Sophocles pronounced. Maybe not, I replied, but they remind you what being alive means. And with that, I slipped back into my body in 2025, still haunted by the firelight of the last free humans. I knew I'd be back, and this time I'd be better prepared. Well, that was that experience. If you liked it, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds, subscribe if you haven't already, and please leave your comments and questions. Is your attitude about Sophocles 9, has it been changed at all? Or, do you believe it's right and best for mankind? Or do the outliers have a point? Or is the truth somewhere in the middle? Please let me know down in the comments section. This is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.